Welcome in everybody to a Tuesday night edition of the Joe Quill Show. And yes, I got to fix that. I didn't copy and paste that from the Monday show. I didn't have time to do that. I didn't fix that uh, initial banner like to put up when we start the show. But it is Monday night, another edition of the Joe Quill Show, and hopefully everybody's having a great night there, out there, wherever you are. And it's starting to get a little cold here in Philadelphia. Temperatures did drop a little bit today, and was a little bit windy as well. But it is what it is. I'm not worried too much about it. But it is January. It is supposed to be cold, and on average, next week, I think one day next week, it is on average what is the coldest day of the year on average. But that isn't climate change or anything like that. It's just a scientific theory that came up. But anyways, got a lot to talk about here tonight. We're going to talk a lot of football. I'm going to sneak in some basketball because Jimmy Butler is being Jimmy Butler. uh, we'll get into that towards the end of the show. The Eagles fan, we briefly said it in passing. I said I don't really want to talk about this, Mike, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit tonight, and we'll go from there about the Eagles fan. Uh, we got more information. That's why we're going to be talking about it. So we got that. We got Mike Tomlin. He said certain things about possibly a team trading for him. Um, I'll give you thoughts on that. Diontae Johnson, he got waived yet again. I think this may be an NFL record for a talent like that, and the Jimmy Butler thing, and I do not have one stupid shit I saw story. I got two tonight if we get to them tonight. So, but we're gonna get through as much of this as we can here, and I believe. Let me just double check here because I can't keep I can't keep up with half the stuff that's going on here, and you know this is um, this is going to be with everything expanding with Bleacher Brothers, and I can never keep track of everything. So appears there is no live show tonight. So I'm getting Captain Ron's nighttime shows all screwed up. So that's just me being old and Polish. So, but we're gonna get through this here tonight, and hopefully, you guys will be enjoying the show. And feel free to chime in. If you chime in on the YouTubes of Bleacher Brother and myself, feel free to chime in. Feel free to chime in uh, on my personal Twitch and also the Bleacher Brothers X. Feel free to chime in. It's just that, I mean, even more so, I'll have to um, chime in. I'll have to reply back verbally as opposed to possibly somebody um, reply instead of replying like that. And if I have to share any links or anything like that, you have to. If I have to share any links, you have to go to my preferred streaming platform, which is my personal Twitch at Joe Quills, or you can go to either of the YouTubes, either the Bleacher Brothers or my YouTube. But we're going to get to it here tonight, and part of the reason why I was so haphazard tonight and rushing to get things done. And if anything does not show up right, blame me because um, I watched the Bleacher Brothers show, their betting show, which is going to be every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and taking some notes there, mental notes, even though it's only Tuesday, and personally, I don't like to make a pick until Thursday for a Saturday or Sunday game, um, but um, but I would definitely check out all the shows on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. The app is out. You can listen to the music that's on there. We're going to be streaming on there eventually. So, um, but the one thing I want to tell you is while that was on, I was realizing as the show is over, oh shit, the TGL event is on, and I watched it tonight. And even though I don't know if it'll succeed or fail, it may succeed because of the fact that you can play a whole match in 2 hours. Whereas if you go onto a real golf course and you don't take up you don't hack up half the fairway because you're taking out divots and you can't replace them properly or anything like that. Um, you know, Instead of being out there for 4, 5, 6 hours playing 18 holes, you play 15 plus any overtime that may occur. Tonight's match didn't happen. Um, they get the whole match in about 2 hours, which is pretty interesting. And it was pretty interesting because you're hitting into like a 30, I think it was 35 feet. We watched that introductory video last week, and I'll tell you what, it is interesting, and I think it is one of a kind, and I hope that this really takes off because it really is interesting, and you got all different quirks in there, like calling timeouts to ice the other team and all that. So there's some other aspects that outdoor golf, if you want to call it that, the real thing. There's a lot of aspects that are in this portion of golf that is not in the golf that you normally see on Saturday or Sunday or anything on the Golf Channel. But it is interesting. I'm interested in seeing how the ratings are if I can find the ratings, and I'm not going to search long and hard for the ratings. If it pops up, it pops up. But I'm not going to really search for it unless somebody really asks me. I just might say, just leave me alone. I'm not doing it. Um, but it is interesting because um, you know you're hitting onto this huge screen, and the screen's about 35 yards away, and you get almost a point of view, a POV from the ball itself when it's flying into the fairway or whatever the ball lands in or onto the green. It's like so um, very interesting. It's a combination of video game and also real life, and they have a green which changes a green that changes around mechanically to fit the hole that they play on this virtual course and everything. It's really neat. And I'll say one thing: if Tiger Woods really wanted to, because one of the things that really has been Tiger's downfall after he had that auto accident a couple years ago. Um, the one thing is with the accident he had and the surgery and everything that he had, he's had a lot of trouble walking the course. And if they can make this work, I'm sure they can make this into a major thing. And everybody, even those that don't like Tiger Woods will watch this event because what will Tiger do next? That's what they're going to say. So, and I think it's interesting, and I hope it takes off. If not, who knows? But this is an interesting time, and it's not even it's not conflicting with the majors. They get this done by the middle of March, and maybe they can expand on this and get more golfers involved. But it is really a fun thing that I saw tonight, and hopefully they do. Um, they do succeed with this because I mean, we have Top Golf out there. You had the the golf simulators out there and all that, because I know there was a simulator that used to be at Harris Philly. I don't think they have it there anymore, but you could go there for like an hour, uh, crush some balls, and you can uh, have some fun with that. And I think that you really could see um, a rise of popularity in golf because not only do you have the real thing, you now got this, which is going to be for a couple of months, and maybe it does work out. Um, I think when I heard about this, I never really scoffed at it or thought, oh, that's never going to work. Most of the things that I say where something is so completely out of the blue like this, one thing I definitely said was, oh, let's see. And let's see how this works. And and even I mean, apples and oranges and apples, oranges, and pears, and everything else. Nothing matching here. You know, it's kind of like the the playoff formats, the new playoff formats for different things. Like for example, the college football format, the Major League Baseball format for the postseason. Let's see it run a few years before we make any changes. Well, in terms of what this is, the TGL, you may not be able to do a couple of seasons and see how it goes, but you can have. Um, I mean, this is going to be gauged by what's going on there, and who knows, maybe it turns into something. And because you did have golfers from the PGA Tour that were in that, and they had a couple of guys from the Corn Ferry Tour as well, which is the AAA of the PGA Tour. So, um, but yeah, it was very interesting, and I'm hoping it works. I mean, that's just the way that I am. So, but that it was interesting. So, it's on Tuesday nights at 7 to 9 p.m. I I was hearing on the Dan Patrick Show podcast when I didn't forward through the commercials that they're doing it Mondays and Tuesdays, but I don't know. I've only seen Tuesday so far. Maybe after the college football playoff on Monday, they revert to Monday and Tuesday. I don't know, um, but it is interesting, and that probably anything you can get to grow your game and get more eyes on there, even if it isn't Tiger Woods, even though this is a Tiger Woods thing. Um, you know, anything to get more eyes on your sport, that I'm all for it. So hopefully, hopefully it does do well. So I did say that I wanted to see it. I did catch a little bit of it, and I now I just have to watch a whole match if I remember it's on at 7 o'clock. So, but it is fun. So, and you do have like a stadium set up where you have like, you have an upper level seating and a lower level seating. It's all part of um, a studio type setup that they have there. So we're going to continue on here with the show here, and just let you guys know who are watching live here. Um, there is no audio for last night's show. There was still an echo. Yeah, I got to play around with it again this week. So, uh, you know, and actually, uh, I think I'm going to make an announcement here, even though it's not major, like the announcement that I had within the last week or two that I will be at Gulfstream Park for the Pegasus World Cup. That is not what we're talking about here. It's not that big. But um, if you see me, if you follow me on Twitch, and by the way, why aren't you watching on Twitch? Because, that's the best way you can, it's the best way you can watch. I'm trying to get to affiliate on Twitch. Just got to get the number of viewers per show up on there. So once we get that up, then we can have even more fun with that page. So, um, but if you see this weekend or even Monday and Tuesday, um, I may do a daytime stream just for shits and giggles and whatever. So, so if you follow me at twitch.tv/slash Joe Quills, you can join the fun there. Even if I just stream directly to Twitch. So, um, we have to get that under control, and we will. It's just that I want to test a couple of different things, and especially because I'm going to be down in Florida next week, and maybe we can do an IRL or anything just to get things going here. So we'll so if you follow me on Twitch and you see that alert and it's like, wait a second, it's not 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, I know it's not 9 o'clock, but I am on vacation next week from the real job at Redacted Company. But let's see if something, let's see if we can do a couple of things there. Uh, so, uh, so if you follow me on Twitch and you hear something like that, um, you know, you're not imagining things and nobody hacked. It's just me playing around with things. So, so feel free to chime in. Have fun with me. Who knows? Maybe we'll do something a little fun as well, and maybe who knows? I mean, one of the things I've been talking about with SJ is maybe even play games once in a while. You know, break away from just the sports talk that I've been doing, and just the fun that I'm doing with that. So, I'm always under, I'm always talking about how to make my shows better, and little by little we're working on it. So, uh, but it's all, um, I'm, she's definitely someone I lean on for tips for streaming, especially on Twitch. So, but one thing I'll say is my Twitch is the um, my preferred streaming platform. Um, so I do want to address the issue here. I didn't want to address it last night because truthfully, I didn't really prepare for it. And truthfully, I didn't really prepare for it tonight, but I have a little more knowledge of what happened here, and we'll get to this. And I'm going to play the video in a couple of minutes, and just to let you know, I don't know if it's the censored or uncensored version. So if it is censored, just be advised there's curses in there, even though I dropped a couple of curses already. Um, but we'll see. Uh, and I'll give some thoughts on there as well. So, but so there was this guy, and I forget. Let me see if I have the original post from yesterday or something close to it here. Um, uh, 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 uh. No, I don't have it on there. Um, okay, I did find it here, but um, it's not what I wanted. I just want to check one thing first here before I go any further here. And um, and here's the thing. being more of a keyboard warrior here on his page here, but whatever. He's from Landenberg, Pennsylvania, so he kind of has an idea what Eagles fans are like. Um, so the one thing I'm going to say is there was an incident in the third quarter of the Eagles game that I'm sure this is probably something to some extent. I won't say that you I I will not say that you have somebody from a row or two up from you cursing at you and using certain words towards a person. Okay. Now, is Philly fan base rough? Yeah. Are we tough? Yeah. Some of it is liquid courage, but um, the one thing is, and part of the reason why I tell you guys about, I don't talk about work, I don't talk about anything. Now, you can find anything out about somebody if you really tried. You can find out where they work, where they went to school, what they did with this or that. You can find out. The thing is, I feel that if you're going to be, even with me, an occasional smartass, as opposed to what happened at the Linc on Sunday, um, I'm not going to talk about work. I'm not going to, and if I make a comment where you think, it's work related, it may not be work related because, something it's just, some things just annoy me to no end, even if it's not work related. But I have curtailed a lot of those tweets and posts and stuff like that as well. So, um, the one thing is you can find out about people, and I don't know how they found out who the person is, um, but this guy who was a season ticket holder, and I say was because from what I see, he was banned. And so he was hurling vile insults at a woman cheering for the Packers during a playoff game. Now, I understand you want to intimidate the fans, even though you're not supposed to do that. Now, this guy could have just, because I think there is a text number that you dial where you say, like 1 2 3 4 5. The number's like 1 2 3 4 5 or something. I'm making the number up, so don't text it. You know, and then you put Eagles, let's say, and then you put the situation and where you're located. So let's say guy is, you know, grabbing my girlfriend's ass or something. You know, you know, to, you know, totally uncalled for. Blah blah blah. Let them handle it first before you do that. So the one thing I will say is, you know, are all Eagles fans bad? No. Are we loud, obnoxious, whatever? Yeah. But the thing is, the stakes are so much higher in January when the playoffs come around. And especially because the Eagles won one Super Bowl, we won a couple years ago, and we want to win another one. So yeah, we are going to be even more obnoxious than we were in the past, and everybody falls into the Philly stereotypes, whatever you want to say. Oh, we threw snowballs at Santa. Well, guess what? He was drunk out of his mind. He deserved it. Even though some will say, how can you say he deserved it? He's Santa Claus. He's doing whatever. Okay, I understand that, but still, um, you know, You have a frustrating season. The University of Pennsylvania, because they were playing at Franklin Field at that time, the vet did not exist. It was being built. They didn't clear the stands because of the snow, and they just said, screw it. I mean, hell, even our former mayor, Ed Rendell, if you remember the Bounty Bowl revenge game, um, Ed Rendell even admitted he threw snowballs at the Dallas Cowboys when they were leaving the field because they didn't get the snow out of the stadium in time. Or maybe the city didn't even try because the city operated all the because it was a city operated stadium, city operated and owned. But you have that. You have the jail that was at Veterans Stadium. I think there was a jail at the Linc, but I don't think they use it anymore. You know, but the thing is, Philly, sometimes it's deserved, but in actuality, they don't really deserve all the rap because guess what? There was not that much of a rap when a nine. I think, and I might have the two teams reverse here, so don't come after me and say, "No, Joe, it was Team B's fan hitting Team A's fan, and not the opposite." Um, you got San Francisco 49er fans, and their liquid courage content is right up there with the Eagles. The fighting and stuff like that in the stadium. I mean, there was a video where a guy cold cocked a woman, and I believe it was a Niners fan punching a female Rams fan. Now, it may be that was a male Rams fan hitting a male Rams fan hitting a female San Francisco fan. So I may have that wrong, but I do remember it was those two teams playing. I think they were in LA. So a guy punches a woman, and there was no outrage. But if that happened in Philly, oh Philly, they threw snowballs at Santa and this and that and jail and all that. Come on, this stuff happens at almost every stadium around the league. Well, maybe not Green Bay, and that may be why the guy that whose video I'm about to show did not have a did not try to punch him. Now, me, if I was there with a girlfriend or just a female friend or a fiance or a husband. Now, I will say this. I will call bullshit because some media outlets are saying that it was his fiance. Some said it was his wife. Not that it matters, but can we get all the facts right here? So I'm going to play this video. I'm not sure if this has the words bleeped out or not. And I'll give some initial thoughts and we'll go from there. So uh, let me. And this is from Alexander Basara. He's also known just as I think Baz, I think, but whatever. But whatever. Here is the video here, and I don't know. And just to give you an idea of what's going on here, if you remember, at the end of the third quarter, the the um, the Packers were driving down the field, and Josh Jacobs was ruled in for a touchdown, but his knee was down inside the one. So that gives you an idea what's going on. So it's the end of the third quarter. So this guy was probably tailgating all day because it was a 4:30 game. Tailgating all day. Probably had a beer or two on top of that in the stadium. So, he's has probably if you ask him what he did, if you don't show him that video, I don't remember it. Well, I'm going to play this video here and we'll go from there, even though I don't condone this behavior, but we'll talk about it here and go from there. So So you got the background here, and we'll play this video here for you right now.
After reviewing the play, the runner was short of the goal line. They got one more yard though. They're close. Yeah, but they're not in. It's not a touchdown. Yeah. So you don't jerk off. Come in the air. Okay, well, don't call her a dumb cunt. She's an ugly dumb cunt. Cool. After the third quarter. Yup. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so you heard it, and the video. I mean, the audio a little bit. You can't really tell, and you can. I mean, you can hear him say it, and and he act and um, Alexander, whatever name he goes by. I thought I saw something else. He said, "Don't call her a dumb cunt." So I think he would. I mean, even though some will question his manhood, but he did the smart thing if you think about it, because you know I'm sure he probably bought those tickets secondhand, and considering it's the Eagles and it's the playoffs, they're probably 5 to 10 times what the face value was. So I imagine that's the case. So here's the thing. The one thing I will say is, and I will say this to any team, any fan from another team in another city. When it comes to football, especially, I would definitely say don't wear your team's colors. I mean, any football team, any football stadium. Maybe you want to do some research of like, some fan incidents in the stadium and stuff like that, because maybe you have a soft fan base that won't necessarily be giving you a bunch of shit. You know, but at first when I saw this video yesterday morning, and we didn't know, I didn't look to see did they know who the guy is or anything like that. So I didn't look into that yet at that time. But at first I'm thinking they must be from Wisconsin, because they're not. I mean, but then again, Landenberg is out in Pennsylvania, I believe, if I remember correctly. So he did the right thing, and social media is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because we found out who the guy was, and he's some specialist at some company in New Jersey that's based out in New Jersey anyway. So you had that. Then on top of that, we, you find out who the guy is. You find out where he's working at. Now the business has to make a statement because, oh, by the way, we found out who it was. Now, I will say this: the reason why I say redacted, and like for example, when we were going through contract negotiations, and we had a Facebook group. I think we still have it. Just it's been zero activity on there over the last, or at least it's not hitting my algorithm. Um, the reason why I say redacted, part of it is they said in that group, do not put the company's name in your bio. You put it in your bio, we're kicking you out of the group. And also, they're not going to be responsible if, you know, you get yourself into trouble on social media. So, and I've told you numerous times about that incident back in 2017 where During the riots, there was a media photo of a bunch of white guys rioting and doing whatever in Charlottesville. My employer put out an email saying we're investigating this because it looks like they may have the company logo on their shirt. Now, if you're being part of a riot, you're breaking the law, and even if you're even if you're not breaking the law, you know, most companies have a code of conduct, and that's conduct detrimental. You're representing the company even if you do not have a company shirt on. I mean, especially if you have a company shirt on, you're representing the company even though you're after hours. So, but I believe the result was that it was unfounded, so they really couldn't do anything about it. But they did investigate the hell out of it. So, but the thing is, if you really investigate something, you can find out about somebody, but, and I'm sure if I did something as asinine as that was, I'm sure people could find me doing whatever I do at my job at Redacted Company, and they could find out what the HR number is, the ethics number, whatever you want to call to report me if something did wrong. Now, I had an incident like that about 15, 20 years ago, maybe longer than that. Um, I I went to the store with my mom. She goes, "I want you to go with me." I'm like, "I don't want to go. I want you to go with me." All right. So at that time, we had a thing called the Turf Club, which was an OTB place at Roosevelt Mall. So I'm like, just park here, just park in Sears, because Sears was still there at the time. Just park around Sears. I'll go across the street. I don't care how long it takes. I'll meet you back at the car or whatever. Oh, no, I'll take you over there. Typical the way my mom was, not listening to me, not listening to what I wanted, not listening to all this, and, would have prevented what happened afterwards. So when she parked in two spots. I said, Mom, you're in two spots. So one guy starts yelling at me, "Hey, you're in two spots." I got it under control, all right? So then I thought it was the same guy. I said, I fucking said I got this under control. Here was a second guy, and it was a SEPTA guy. And the only reason why I knew it was a SEPTA guy, because he had his full uniform on and he had his nameplate on there. Guess what? If I had my glasses, which I did not have at the time because I couldn't see shit, if I saw that, I would have been on the phone with SEPTA about 5 minutes later, as soon as I got home, say, "Hey, listen, this guy threatened me in the parking lot with his uniform on. Yeah, I know he's off the clock, but guess what? He's still representing your company. And if you're not going to do something about it, I'm going to sue your fucking asses for every dime that you have." But, but because I couldn't identify the name, I couldn't do anything. So, but that's the one thing I will tell you guys is, before we get back to the story here, you know, if you're just randomly going out, try not to wear company apparel. Try not to wear, um, you know, make it as hard as possible for somebody to identify you in the workplace. So that's the one thing I would definitely say to you guys. Now back to this, and I'm going to look at this story here, and this is actually from People Magazine that I saw tonight. I found the article here. So the Eagles and Lincoln Financial Field have issued a lifetime ban for a male fan whose foul outburst at their playoff game against the Green Bay Packers was caught on video. People confirmed that. Um, Footage of the incident hit the internet after the Eagles defeated the Packers. We all know that. Alexander Basara And if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I apologize. Um, he's a Green Bay Packers content creator. Posted footage of the male Eagles fan heckling his fiance. Some outlets are saying that it's his wife. Who cares? I joked around. I said, "Yeah, well, I would grab a penny and take one for the team." But But anyways, they were cheering for the Packers and they were wearing the road team's merchandise. Now, first of all, if you're in Landenberg, I think you have an idea what the Eagles fans are like, and I would have been a little bit smarter with what you're wearing, but that's irrelevant here. And Basara wrote this: what it's like going to Philly trying to root for your team. He wrote in his post accompanying the video that I played on X. Unprovoked, uncalled for. Packers Twitter, help me out and find this guy. This is not okay. I hate that my fiance had this happen simply for cheering for her team. And I did play the video there. Now here's the thing. I'm going to admit this. I've dropped the C word a few times, but the thing is, I don't use it the way that that guy did, where he just said, "Oh, you're a dumb C word." I use it the same way that I tip wait staff at a restaurant. You want a little something extra in the tip, you earn it. Now, in regards to a tip, what do you mean by earn more? Just give good service. You don't have to. I mean, in my opinion, if I'm at the restaurant and you're doing a good job, I couldn't care less if you give me you refill my soda 3 times instead of 2, or it isn't about that. It's just, maybe I'm just having a bad day and I just want to eat and be left alone, and occasionally checking in, that's fine, but and some days I do want to talk. It all depends upon my mood. So, it's just that mood. And I remember the one time I was in Pittsburgh's airport, and the guy next to me at another table, because I had like an hour and a half, 2 hours to my next flight, because I was making sure I was there on time. Guy's ordering food last minute, and he's cursing at the staff, everybody, the waitress, everything. I'm like, I'm not getting involved, but I'm making a mental note of this because, the thing is, one, I'm not getting kicked out because I got a flight in 2 hours. I'm not getting kicked out of the airport. I'm just going to sit here. If something happens where I have to step in and do something like that, I'll step in. But they're trained; they can handle pissed off customers, whatever. So the staff did everything they were supposed to do. The waitress did everything they did. Guy asked me a question too, but I just answered the question. I was trying to stay out of it as much as possible, drinking my beer because I was still drinking beer at the time, and eating my wings or waiting for my wings or whatever. He goes, "Can we take this on the plane?" I was like, "Yeah." Well, what about it stink? I'm like, I've had a lot stinkier stuff on planes than that stuff. Trust me. He goes, "Oh, okay." Kind of calmed them down a little bit. Unintentionally calmed them down a little bit, and everything that she did was within reason. I've been in that guy's position where, not necessarily in a restaurant, but you just get to the point where you got to vent and let out some steam. Now that girl, I usually tip in the minimum 15 to 20 range. I think I gave her like a 50% tip. I'm not the type of person who's going to make it, you know, give like $1,000 tip and then, you know, oh, this one guy who paid in cash gave $1,000 tip. I don't. The one thing is, and this is the one thing I hate is, and I would fire staff for doing this, even though, oh, it's a good thing. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, whether you're putting that somebody put a $5,000 tip, let's say. Oh my God, $5,000 tip. Click, picture taken, posted on the internet. Or maybe it's that asshole that was sitting next to me, takes his thing, boom. Or, then she goes, oh, this guy was a real jerk off. Takes a picture of it, zero tip. Either way, what, because basically you're bashing a customer just the same way that if I were to go onto onto social media and say, "Oh, this guy just had, he was cursing me. I wish I could have said F you to him as well." That's the same thing, whether it's good or bad. The customer has a right to give what they want in terms of a tip and all that. And that's how I am with the C word, where it's not in my everyday vocabulary, but if you're really acting like that, and I think I've called a man or two a C word too, but but the thing is, I don't use it often, and if I do use it, you've earned it, trust me, because you know you really got to earn that title. And I know that it is a nuclear word, and you have to realize that maybe the thing is, he shouldn't be using that just for a random playoff football game because somebody's wearing green and yellow and the Packers logo and shit like that. Now, they handled it, if you really think about it, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, he has no balls," and whatever. I think he did the 21st century thing and basically gave a virtual fuck you to him by basically recording it and said, "All right, well, watch this." Now, was it intentional? No, he was trying to bash all Eagles fans, which is a bit unfair. But, because one rotten apple doesn't spoil the bunch. Maybe two or three, but, you know, I think, you know, maybe maybe the guy just isn't tough enough to deal with the stuff like that, but that was uncalled for, plain and simple. And as an Eagles fan, I apologize to the guy. And I appreciate that he did record this. Now, the one thing I will say, and maybe I'm wrong by saying this, and maybe I'm right. I wonder, and this is something that, would come into play if somebody recorded something in me. For example, in the state of Pennsylvania, if you were going to wiretap a phone call, both sides have, or if you're going to record a call, both sides have to know that you're being recorded. You can't just randomly record and go from there. That's state law in Pennsylvania. Some states are just one party has to know. In Pennsylvania, it's both parties. And trust me, I've looked into it for certain things, and it's like, ah, shit. But I don't know if recording video like this is something that could be involved, but you know, I know if it was me, hopefully this guy just feels immense shame and loses his job, and he has to work a minimum wage job to get by if they're being a total asshole. But I'm just wondering, if it happened to me, could I say that my rights were violated because this video that got out there was done without my consent? That's a question I have for you. And you feel free to chime in because every different states do different things. Some states have two party. And the one thing is, I had one call at my redacted company job. They say, "Well, I'm recording this conversation." They probably weren't, but I say, "Well, I choose not to be recorded." Click. But I mean, but that was probably about 15, 20 years ago, so the statute of limitations are up. So, and the thing is, some of the things that customers do tell you, it probably is not happening, but they do cover, the redacted company does cover all most things that do occur in a call. They're like, well, if this happens, say this, say that. But I'm just wondering if that was information. I'm hoping this guy does not catch this video because I don't want to give him food for thought because of this video being done. Because he was in the state of Pennsylvania at the time, and does a video apply the same way that recording a regular old telephone conversation does? Because you can't do that. Both parties have to know in Pennsylvania. And I'm just wondering, could he do something like that? Or has it been fought in a court of law in the past, especially in Pennsylvania with a double consent state where both parties have to know? But this guy had been banned. Um, you know, so the Eagles fan continued to insult her, saying, uh, you know, he said, the Packers fan Becerra said, telling the man to stop calling her his fiance names as the Eagles fan continued to insult her, saying she's an dumb, ugly, dumb c word. All right, maybe you got ugly right, but But a day later, Derek Gunn, formerly of NBC Sports Philly, mostly uh, he's mostly um, on his own doing things. He does stuff for Parks Casino and stuff, but um, he said that the guy will be banned from future Eagles games, adding to the Eagles are planning to send Becerra's fiance some Packers gear as an apology. Just Packers gear? Really? I mean, obviously he's not apologizing. More than just an apology. You want to do that, and you want to make it up to them in any way possible. But and I think that just getting the Packers gear, I mean, obviously they're not going to want to go back into the stadium, but something tells me that they have been to an Eagles Packers game there before. So, or maybe, maybe it was their first time. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but um, many many users praised him for how he handled the incident. Respect to you. If that were my wife, I'd probably be leaving in handcuffs. One account said. You know, and the thing is, I salute him because it was, some people. I've also seen some people say that he has no guts, no balls, whatever. But I mean, me, I would have gotten into a fight. And guess what? When you have something like that and you attack an Eagles fan, it's 1 against 50 because all the Eagles fans will jump in. They don't give a shit. But I just think that there has to be more than just. Oh, and I have breaking news here. This is from the New York Post from 11 minutes ago. The Eagles fan in that viral video that showed him hurling vulgar insults has been sacked from his job. BCT Partners, a DEI focused management consulting firm based in East Brunswick, New Jersey, announced the firing in a statement Tuesday night that they have concluded their internal investigation and decided to part company with the employee. While they did not refer to the company employee by name, the disgraced Eagles fan identity was confirmed to the Post to be Ryan Caldwell. In a captured exchange, Caldwell called Allie Keller a dumb C word. Well, they never identified her until now. At least I didn't hear that. During Sunday's NFC wildcard game between the Eagles and Packers at Lincoln Financial Field. So it's a developing story. So let me say this to Ryan Caldwell. Now, this probably was announced like hours ago, but it was the first I saw it on my phone. So good for him. And, thankfully, he doesn't have a job and, he's got to figure out what to do with his life now because guess what? You fucked up. And let me just check one thing here. And actually, it was posted on X about 45 minutes ago. Not even that. Um, okay, so it says there, we, the management of BCT Partners, have concluded the internal personnel investigation regarding an employee who was caught on a video outside of the workplace making highly offensive and misogynistic statements. In keeping with our company values, which are firmly centered in respect, dignity, and inclusion, we have decided to part company with the employee. This separation is effective immediately. We condemn our former employee's conduct in the strongest possible terms. This individual conduct and language were vile, disgusting, acceptable, and horrific, and have no place in our workplace and society. Such conduct is not who we are and not what we stand for. At the same time, again, to be true to our values, we can condemn the actions without condemning the individual. None of us deserve to be remembered for actions taken on our worst day. We have offered grace and support to our former employee. We hope that he will grow. We can all learn from this deeply disturbing incident. That's what real inclusion is and does. That is also who we are and what we stand for. We sincerely apologize to the victim and to the many ways in which these events already have impacted so many people. We remain committed to gender equity and fostering a culture of respect and dignity for all. So good for them. They fired his ass. And he is unemployed and he probably will not be able to get unemployment because he fucked up royally. And happy day after Monday. His next job will be welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? Yeah, he's going to be, I mean, yeah, he deserved that. So, um, but he definitely screwed up, and I'm sure it was probably a six-figure job that he had, and you know, good for him. Uh, um, now, one respect to you, if I'd be leaving in handcuffs. That was one comment. Switching seats were may have been a smart move too, but hats off to you for keeping your cool under the circumstances. And the thing is, when you're in Landenberg and you're in Pennsylvania, as I like to call that area of the state, you have a different mindset than people that are in the city. So, you know, and here's the part that I was saying. Others questioned why Becerra was allowing the man to behave that way. In response to one comment, Becerra explained that the man was attending the game with two other men, and Becerra worried they would get aggressive. Plus, all Eagles fans would see is me getting physical with an old man and jump me. Yeah, that's true because, and it would be more than just those three. It would probably be about 20 guys in the three, four rows behind him and probably a couple in the rows above him and maybe the next section over. They would have swarmed him. So, you know, everything he did, you know, it was a smart thing because guess what? You gave the ultimate FU to the guy. You went, all right, I'm going to take the video. Ha 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 ha. And, the thing is, some things do turn viral very quickly. That one did. And that guy now does not have a job. But I will say the only thing I wonder, and I may, it may not be a valid point, it may be, does he have a leg to stand on? Because you're in a state where you have to give consent to being recorded in conversations. And technically, even though it's not a wiretap or anything like that, you're in a state where both parties have to agree to be recorded. So maybe he has a case in terms of the company, or but I mean, maybe he has some case here, but it's just me speculating because um, more for me if somebody were to do that to me because I do have a bit of a temper from time to time. So, but yeah, it is a um, kudos to that guy for um, standing up in a passive aggressive way, which actually worked out for once. Um, so that is what's going on with there. Um, so and thankfully, I was looking at my phone because guess what? I saw the story there. So good for that guy, even though he is a Packers fan. Okay, now you figure being in Landenberg. Let me pull that up on the map here. Let me go to Google here. Okay, so it's southern Chester County. So in a way, it kind of is Pennsylvania. It kind of isn't, but I just wonder if you know is that still the Philadelphia market, or is it when they show games, do they show the Baltimore games? Do they show the Pittsburgh games one over the other? I don't know, but just me speculating here because and maybe he was at a time where there was no football in Baltimore, for example. But once you're starting to get into that gray area where um, the gray area of the state where Pittsburgh and Philadelphia fans blend together. So you know, but whatever. So talking about Pittsburgh here, Mike Tomlin had a message for those teams that were thinking about um, they were thinking about hiring trading for Mike Tomlin. He said, "Save your time because he's not going anywhere." Now, I don't know how these coaching trades work. Now, I know how they work in terms of the compensation. Whatever. You send X amount of players and draft picks to the other team. I mean, look at Gruden, comma John, because he was traded from from the Raiders to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won that Super Bowl. Now, the one thing I don't know is this something that ends up? I don't know if this is something where you can just randomly trade them, or do you have to tell the coach, "Hey, we're shipping your ass to Dallas." Is it something like that? I don't know. But he basically said, "I'm not going." So I think somebody who has 18 years in Pittsburgh has the right to say that as well. It isn't like you're a 4 or 5 year coach and you're and another team says, you know what, we can make you a winner, something like that. So so after the Steelers' fifth consecutive one and done trip to the playoffs, his status, Tomlin's status and future with the organization have been a hot topic of debate and a source of consternation among fans. Now, last offseason, he signed a 3-year deal, so he's got 2 more years left on his contract. After he just completed his 18th season at the helm, and said he understands their frustration. I think, he's, he isn't somebody who's totally adrift and whiffy and whatever, but he understand. He said, "I understand the nature of what it is that we do, the attention and criticism that comes with it. As a matter of fact, I embrace it. And to be quite honest with you, I enjoy the urgency that comes with what I do and what we do." So, I mean, and I think the way Mike Tomlin is, he probably would have said that in year one and not 18. So, um, I don't make excuses for failure. I own it. I know a lot of people that don't own up to their failures. But I also feel like I'm capable, and so as long as I'm afforded an opportunity to do that, I will continue. But I certainly understand their frustrations, and probably more importantly than that, I share it because that's how I'm wired. You know, and he wants to win just as much as you know some some inbred in Pittsburgh who escaped West Virginia. I don't care. You you got that. You got that. You got that. I'm sure he's even more than the most fervent Steelers fan there is out there. I'm sure that's the case. Um, he expressed disappointment with the way the season ended. Um, he called it football justice, the 28-14 loss. He said, "I don't view it as a misfortune, to be quite honest with you. Particularly at this level in the business and game, there's football justice. You get what you deserve. So we are here, and we're here for really tangible reasons. We don't involve we didn't involve in the right ways. We didn't strike the right chords at the right time, particularly down the stretch. Basically, they got blown the fuck out." Um, Tomlin said there will be changes in the organization, but he didn't detail specifics. He met with players as a group Monday and also began individual exit meetings. Um, he also met with Art Rooney II and General Manager Omar Khan. They're and the one thing is, if you're going to let somebody go as quickly as possible after a coach is gone, as soon as the season's over. Now, the situation with Mike McCarthy is a totally different situation. I see that they wanted to talk. They wanted to get different things done. They had they had the exit interviews, and he's talked to them. And Jerry Jones is trying to gauge because they had this exclusive 1 week window that they chose not to take advantage of to have the contract done. So they said, "All right, well, we're just going in another direction." And for those are going to argue with me, he was not fired. He was contract completed. He's basically a free agent. So, but Tomlin did say there was going to be changes in the organization. He didn't detail specifics, as I said. Um, Now, possible changes include the quarterback room because both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are free agents. And personally, if I said keep one over the other, I would keep Justin Fields because he's younger. And I think he was just starting to come to his own and being with a team that wouldn't regress him as a team like Chicago does with every single quarterback in their 100 and some year history, or so it seems. I would think that if you want to keep one quarterback over the other, I want to keep Justin Fields. It may cost you more, but I would rather keep Justin Fields because Russell Wilson may be on the final legs of his career. Um, Now the team did sign Skylar Thompson on Tuesday afternoon, and some people say, "Well, why the hell did they sign?" A lot of times this time of the year, what they do is they start preparing for the next off season. They sign players to, I think it's called a future contract, where we're going to sign them next year, and these are like bottom level players who are just going to fill in, be a body in the practice field and stuff like that, or maybe he's a um, third string or fourth string quarterback, a quarterback that ends up on the practice squad, a quarterback that gets that gets deactivated and is third quarterback in dresses. But they announced that deal yesterday, or actually this afternoon. Excuse me. But 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 Russell Wilson said his plan is to be in Pittsburgh next year. If I'm the Steelers, I say no. But but as of when this article was posted sometime today, or when the interview with Russell Wilson took place, um, he admitted that he hadn't met with the Steelers yet to begin those discussions. So, I mean, I don't even know if he had that exit interview that they have with all the players. Um, Tomlin believes that both Wilson and Fields can help the Steelers take the next step in getting where the organization wants to go. Now, I was talking to somebody. I don't know if it was SJ. I don't know if it was a random chat or anything like that. But the one thing, or it might even been with Mike yesterday. Um, the one thing that was said was Justin Fields was doing fine. Why did you bench him? Well, in 99% of the cases, you don't lose your job to injury. Now, don't say that to Drew Bledsoe, because he lost his job to Tom Brady, if you remember, when the Patriots won their first Super Bowl. Now, there are some cases where you are going to lose your starting job because of injury, because somebody like Tom Brady just finds ways to win, and next thing you know, he's there and he's going to lead you through the playoffs, and you see the greatness that no one expected as a fifth or sixth round draft pick. So I think that you have to realize that maybe, you know, and Russell Wilson did okay. It's just that the whole team went in the toilet at the same time for the most part. Now, Mike and I had talked about it before. It may not even been yesterday. We might have been texting back and forth one day. And for those that are listening after the fact, Mike said we talked about it before. I don't necessarily think that, you know, I mean, I agree. You shouldn't necessarily lose the job because of injury, but sometimes there are extraordinary circumstances where, sorry, you're SOL. That happens from time to time, but um, and so we'll see what happens with the Steelers now that they're out. And just to let you know, Mike, I just got this phone alert, and I did mention it with the Bleacher Brothers show at 7 o'clock. It wasn't the actual Bleacher Brothers show. It was a gambling show. Um, Let me pull it up here just so I can give you the correct title here. Um, Yeah, it's a new Tuesday show that's going to be on at 7 o'clock on the Bleacher Brothers network. Um, I don't even know. I even forget the name. That's how mentally out of it I am on some things. But it is a gambling show. They were talking about all the football games, and I alerted them that this could happen. And Fox 29 shared sent an alert there because they're promoting their 10 o'clock news right now because it's on right now. The Fox 29 Weather Authority, Mike, they are monitoring the possibility of snow for the Eagles game. So those that are um, let me pull it up right now. They are saying, okay, so the daily summary here on my app, and I'm going to share my screen for you, Mike. It's saying right now the potential of 1 to 2 inches of snow. Sunday's high will be 39 degrees between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. The temperature range will feel like 20 to 36. Wind will make it colder than the actual temperature. So the temperature is going to drop around noon and just steadily get colder. And the way that they're saying right now, especially the second half, has the potential for snow. And that's for Sunday right now. That's just, you got to dig to get to that portion of my weather app there. But as of right now, they're calling for a couple of inches of snow. And if we all know the legend of the 1949 Eagles, they played in a blizzard at Connie Mack Stadium and they won over the Chicago Cardinals, I believe it is, 7-0. And the game started late. Everybody had to help to remove the tarp because so much snow fell and stuff like that. But um, it'll you know, be interesting to see. And also, you have a warm weather team who's coming in off a short rest. That's definitely something to keep your eye on. But also, for those that are watching and listening after the fact, as we are doing the show live, and you can watch us live at twitch.tv/Joe Quills, we're still 5 days away. I wouldn't get excited about the snow or the prospect of snow, even if it's not during the game. I wouldn't be excited about the prospect of snow or bitch and moan about the snow until Friday. Because even when a storm is 24 to 48 hours away, and trust me, we know, all of a sudden the storm goes in a different direction where you expect it, and you get, or like for example, the Snow Bowl game with Detroit. Ironically, with Matthew Stafford as the starting quarterback as well, you're looking at, in that game, it was like, oh, it's just going to snow a little bit. Well, it snowed about 9 inches between 11:30 and 1, or so it seemed, when it snowed. So, so we're looking at a potential snow game right now, which you know is very rare, especially for the Eagles. I mean, you know, I I only remember three in my lifetime. One was in St. Louis where they got their dick kicked in it was Dan Deerdorf's last game, I believe. Um, there was the game with Seattle on Monday Night Football where they got blown out, and that was where Brian Westbrook suffered a Liz Frank sprain. He was done for the year. And there was the Snow Bowl game with Detroit 10 years ago, actually. So, um, but they're saying it's not going to be a big storm, but I think that maybe you'll get like a dusting or a little bit more than a dusting of snow, and probably more of the accumulation will be after the game. But the field itself will probably get covered a little bit because of the fact that you do have the potential of a little bit of snow here. So, I mean, they're not saying it's going to be, like a Buffalo lake effect storm where they're going to have 3 to 4 feet and they got to move the game to Monday. You're not going to see that, or you're not going to see them flipping times or anything like that. They're going to play it as is. It's just, let's just make sure it's only going to be a 1 or 2 inch snowfall. It's just going to be a nuisance storm as opposed to something where they got to move the game because guess what? We can't put the crowd in. We can't put 70,000 people in jeopardy. But that was definitely something that popped up on my phone. Now I did mention it on the show that was on at 7 o'clock tonight, but it wasn't. It isn't. It it isn't anything too worrisome yet. And I also remind you, it is 5 days away, and give it another 48 to 72 hours for it to really take hold. But um, and of course, it's supposed to snow on Thursday, next Thursday, when I am going to Miami. So, well, we do have Beast. We have Barkley and Beast Mode Goddard. We also have AJ Brown, uh, Kenneth Gainwell's a nice change up to the rushing game. You got Jalen Hurts, all that. So, but but next Thursday, I'm not worried about that too much because it's 10 days away and probably be 75 and sunny here that day. But but we are but that is definitely something I'll keep an eye out on, and that may factor into my pick for the Philly fade on Thursday night. So tune in there. That usually gets released sometime after 10:30. So about this time Thursday night we'll go through the whole process. Um, I have one question about Diontae Johnson, who was the wide receiver of the Houston Texans. What the fuck's wrong with you? I'll tell you why. The Houston Texans waived him today as they prepare for their divisional round playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs. D'Amico Ryan said Tuesday, unfortunately with Diontae, it did not work out. So here's what happened on Saturday. Following the Texans' win over the Chargers, Johnson was visibly upset in the locker room. He was fully dressed sitting in his locker, staring in frustration because of a lack of playing time and targets. Now, here's the thing top wide receivers, they're prima donnas. A.J. Brown is one as well. It's just how you act. And, the Eagles do have A.J. Brown under control for the most part. Um, Johnson was fully dressed, staring in frustration. Running back Joe Mixon and linebacker Azeez Al-Shire tried to comfort and encourage him. Now, he only played 17 out of the Texans' 70 snaps and received only one target. He finished the game with one catch for 12 yards. So, um, the one thing is, maybe he's got this ego where I'm number one quality receiver. I need my touches. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But he had 3 catches for 24 yards in 2 games with Houston after the Texans claimed him off of waivers from Baltimore. And they claimed him on December 23rd. Now, what happened in Baltimore? They moved on from the receiver after he refused to enter the game against the Eagles on December 1st. Now, here's what happened with him in Baltimore. Before the Ravens waived him because of the incident there, they suspended him 1 game for refusal to play against the Eagles. Baltimore had acquired him in a trade with the Carolina Panthers on October 29th, but he played only 39 snaps for the Ravens, catching 1 pass for 6 yards. Now, he did have, it doesn't say it on this one. Okay, yeah, it does say it. Now, when he was with the Panthers, he had 30 catches for 257 yards and 3 touchdowns for Carolina when he was dealt to the Ravens. So obviously, he's not looking for a ring as the ultimate goal. He's looking for touches, catches, yardage, all that shit. He's a me player and not a team player. He's a me guy, not a we guy. Well, maybe he goes we all the way home, but um, and the Panthers acquired Johnson from Pittsburgh before the season. So he's been in a matter of about 12 months. He's been with 4 organizations. There's definitely something going on there. Now, I don't know what Carolina said to him, but he ruined not one but 2 chances at a Super Bowl. Now, granted, the chance with Houston was a lot less than with Baltimore, because Baltimore, some people are picking Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl, me included. Well, I did at the beginning of the year anyway. Um, you do have, you know, so he was getting the ball 30 for 257. So he's getting about 4 or 5 catches a game. Um, does he have the stats? No. And let me just check one thing here. And if you saw my screen right now, Mike, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, all these tabs. Uh, he had 67 targets this year, 33 catches for 375. That's combined. Um, Now there has been a drop off over the last couple of years. Yeah, he played all 17 games for the Steelers in 20. He played 16 games in 21, 107 catches for 1161. So maybe there's the prima donna attitude that would back up his attitude, but you're losing that with the every year that passed, and he's been in the league since 2019. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years he's in the league. In 22, he played in 17 games, all 17, 86 catches, 882 yards. So, not as many catches, not as many targets, but, still a lot of catches. 2023. Oh, in 2022, he had no touchdowns. 21, he had 8. 2023, played in 14 games, 51 catches, 717 yards, 5 touchdowns. So you can see the drop off. The question is the drop off because of the offense? Is it because of him? You know, you know, the scouts and everything else they can argue. They could also say, well, you have a number one, he's now a number two, or he's now a number three, and the top guy gets the ball most times. So you do have that. 30 receptions, 357. So let me do this. And I think, let me just check one thing here. I might have to dig a little bit for this, but um, trying to find his stats for this year. Game log, duh. So, okay, so it looks like he did not miss a game. And also remember, Carolina was playing like total shit early in the year. They were 1-6 at the time it got traded. So you're looking at, hey, I could win a Super Bowl. I got a shot here with Baltimore. And don't you think that you got to learn the offense and everything else? And I mean, it's just it's wanting the A in class and not doing any of the work. So, but 33. But it doesn't mention how many drops he had either. So I'm sure if I really dug for that, I would, but I'm not going to. Um, Now, if he stayed at Carolina and you just, Mike remember said with the Steelers. Now, if you put his numbers out for all 17 games with Carolina, now granted you really can't because things happen. One day you have a game of your life, you have 14 catches for 200 yards or whatever. But um, so it's 14. So looking at over 17 games, he would have had 73 catches. Not bad. And if you prorate that his yards over 17 games, it was 357. Oops, hold on. 867 yards. So, I mean, not bad numbers, not, for 17 games the way that everybody passes now. It's not really that big of a, not huge numbers, but respectable. But for whatever reason, he's not getting his touches. He's not earning his spot on the team. He's just being, hey, I deserve to be here. But guess what? That's why you're going to be watching the rest of the playoffs on the couch. So I don't know maybe there's something internally wrong with him that we don't know, something wrong with him mentally, who knows. But, when you have an opportunity to win a championship and you're not doing what you're supposed to do and you don't want to play, get him out. But so now another guy who wants out is Jimmy Butler. Now, his 7-game suspension is wrapping up Thursday. He reiterated to Pat Riley, the team president, in a face-to-face meeting last week that he still wants to be traded. But I've heard. I think I saw that maybe there's some baby mama drama or something like that as well. So he told Riley, and there may be things within the organization as well, but who knows? But Butler told Riley he will not sign a new deal in Miami, that he intends to use his player option in 25-26 in the offseason only as a trade maneuver, according to sources. His 7-game suspension was for detrimental conduct because he went to the media and said, I want out, the way that he said it. Now, Miami's faced with finding a path forward for Butler with options including a return to the roster or a trade. Heat officials met later this week. They will meet later this week to discuss the best route for Butler. Owner Mickey Arison is expected to also sit down with Butler later this week. League sources added. He coach Eric Spoelstra and players such as Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo have spoken in the past week about finding clarity and eliminating distractions of Butler's circumstances during his absence. Um, Tyler Hero said, "This is what he wanted. This is what we want, just to be back on the road, um, rallying around each other, making it about the guys that are here now. We got enough." Um, um, in the January 3rd statement from the Heat, they said, through his actions and statements, he has shown he no longer wants to be part of this team. Butler and his representatives have indicated he wishes to be traded. Therefore, we will listen to offers. Um, Spolster said that the team has aimed to quiet all the distractions. Um, the Heat have engaged with multiple teams on the Butler trade scenarios and have received offers but have been hesitant to negotiate further. Riley has not shown any urgency in the talks as the deadline is February 6th. ESPN reported on Christmas Day that Butler prefers to trade out of Miami with the Suns, Golden State Warriors, Dallas Mavericks, and Houston Rockets as desired locations. At the next day, the day after Christmas, Riley said, "We're not trading Butler." So he's forcing their hand, but so he's going to pay. So he's going to get $49 million this year, minus the $2.35 million his suspension cost him. The Players Association filed a grievance calling the suspension excessive and inappropriate. Part of the issue is team related. One issue that led to Butler's decision to request a trade was an implication from team officials that he hadn't played his hardest in the Heat victories over the Pelicans on New Year's Day. Butler made it clear to the Heat before his suspension that he planned to partake in team activities while his status was in limbo. So, but here's another case. But Jimmy Butler has been a malcontent in other cities. He wasn't really a malcontent here in Philly, but he wasn't here long enough to be one. I think he was in Chicago. I definitely think he definitely was in Minnesota. That's how he ended up here. But he was fine in Miami until this year. So, um, but things happen, and if it's just that one reason, I can understand it. But um, you have a contract to honor. So, but he will return from suspension on Thursday, and Miami's got to figure out what to do with him. So I have two stupid shit I saw stories. Now, the first one I have is not does not have a video involved with it, but I'm still going to share my screen here because um, just because of the article itself. And um, now I know what Mike said when I mentioned the name Lizzie Hale last night because I gave him a preview of this stupid story that I saw uh, yesterday. And I know what Mike said. He said this.
Who the fuck is that guy?
And I had to correct him. I said, that's a woman, okay? She's a woman, okay? So apparently, the lead singer of Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale, and this is from WMMR in Philadelphia, she dumped the guy for falling asleep at a Tool show. Tool, the band, that is. Now, here's the thing. And by the way, here's the top of the story, blah, blah, blah. Whoop, wrong one. There's the top of the story, blah, blah, blah. So she recalled in a new interview with Guitar Player magazine that she once saved up money from her waitressing job to buy tickets to a Tool show at Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. They're from that area of the state. For her and her brother and Hailstorm drummer RJ. When RJ couldn't go because he was grounded by their parents, Lizzie invited a guy named Nate. While the show was great, the same couldn't be said about the date. Lizzie said, I was singing every word. Halfway through, I looked at my date and saw that he had fallen asleep. Total deal breaker to me. So, very few people fall asleep during Lizzie's current slate of performances. She and guitarist Joe Hottinger are on the road with Intimate Living Room. They start mentioning that. So, but the thing is, I do not know how you fall asleep at a Tool concert, which is hard rock or maybe even metal. Somehow, and I have the Tool albums in my library, and it is pretty loud, metally, whatever you want to call it. How do you fall asleep at a Tool show? Were you like really fucking high and passed out or something, or were you really drunk and passed out? But I saw that, it's like, you got to be kidding me. Now, I've fallen asleep watching movies with people, and I've fallen asleep in this chair watching Twitch. I don't know how that happens, but I saw, but I just don't know how you fall asleep at a Tool concert. Maybe Yanni, maybe Kenny G, not Tool. So, but that is one stupid story that I saw here that I wanted to bring up here tonight. I got one more here, and I don't know how this happened, but I did see it. I did see it on Instagram earlier today. A DJ that I follow out in Chicago ended up on my timeline, ended up in my algorithm one day. I was like, why not? Boom, follow. Apparently in Chicago, let me go back here. So a coyote was pulled out of the shelves inside of a Humboldt Park, Chicago Aldi store. Here's the video. Here's the video from ABC7 in Chicago.
Finally, we have an update on the coyote in that now viral video. These are new photos of the animal, which is in good condition today. Look at that. This is according to the Flint Creek Wildlife Rehabilitation. Yesterday it was found, remember, hiding in the produce section in a Humboldt Park Aldi store. One expert tells us it's coyote mating season right now, which makes coyotes more active and more adventurous than normal. Eric Hong had a great story last night. Experts saying he just got scared and confused.
And got into the produce section.
Ran into the Aldi.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting yesterday. Yesterday was also a full moon, so we think maybe it had something to do with it. We'll see.
Let me see if I can find the original story here. And I just realized I had the microphone up, which means you couldn't hear me talk there for a couple of seconds. Um, uh, or let me see if I can find another story. Okay, so let's try this video here. Okay, so this is from yesterday. So if the video loads here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have to play the the Twitter post. So let me go back over here. Um, or let me check this New York Post article. No, we're going to have to go with this. Um, they must have taken this video down. Okay, so here's the video from Eddie Barstool on on Twitter. Actually, let me do one thing here first. Share this tab again. You can't hear me? Oh, that's from 2 minutes ago. You can't hear me now? Hold on a second. Let me check something here. All right, I hear myself. Yeah, because I went like this for a couple of seconds there. Um, so I don't have the full story here. Maybe I can. Uh, I think I found the video here. It's actually on YouTube here. So um, this is on 6ABC Philadelphia on YouTube. Uh, there we go. Let's go back over here. And away we go. Once again, this is 6 ABC in Chicago. ABC 7 in Chicago.
No injuries were reported in this incident, including to the coyote. One wildlife ecologist says with this being coyote mating season, that amorous animal may have been looking for love. This adult male coyote is now in caring hands after his star turn on social media.
Watch out, guys. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out.
This video, viewed millions of times, shows police yanking the animal by the tail from the produce section of this Aldi in Humboldt Park. Witnesses say the animal had been roaming the parking lot at 800 North Kedzie when it somehow ended up inside the store. Police and Chicago Animal Care and Control safely removing that coyote who'd been hiding in a cooler beneath a selection of fine cheeses.
It picked an odd location. They do this sometimes. They make a mistake. They're trying to avoid us. They're trying to hide from us.
Stan Garrett has been studying coyotes in Chicago for a quarter century and says they're everywhere, like in this case, hiding in plain sight.
Probably trying to find a new area to hide, ended up inside the store. And this has happened in the past.
In April 2007, this coyote in a cooler drew an audience at a downtown sandwich shop, where a camera captured the animal sauntering in and making itself at home alongside some beverages. In this case, our coyote, with his dark, inviting eyes, may have been looking for love. January through March is mating season, when coyotes are especially active.
Some of these animals, the ones especially that make a mistake and they find themselves into a building, often are what we call transient animals. So these are animals that actually don't have a mate yet.
The coyote is now in the care of the group Flint Creek Wildlife Rehabilitation, which will make sure the animal is okay before perhaps releasing it back into the wild.
There we go. I did it again, Mike. Sorry. I tried to mute myself. I did it like that because of the fact that I was playing the video. I didn't want to talk over it. But apparently he goes in there and he ends up in the produce section, gets buried in there, is trying to hide, and they got to pull him out. Mike is thinking exactly what I said, especially with the way the video. And I thought that as soon as he said it, that he was looking for love, and yes, he was looking for love in all the wrong places. So me and Mike, great minds think alike there. So, but that is the other stupid shit that I saw a story, and basically that are for those that are watching or listening for the first time, it's just some stupid things I find from time to time. It's not a regular portion of the show, but it is something that pops up from time to time. It's just a little fun thing that make you laugh, especially a nice sorbet this time of the night when we're about to close things up here for tonight. So let me just check one thing here. All right. So just a reminder, tomorrow I will be live at 10 o'clock. Probably going to do like an hour to an hour and a half. And Thursday we'll be back at 9 o'clock. And then Saturday we will be live with another edition of Also Eligible. I think we're doing Fairgrounds because they have a ton of races, a ton of stakes races. That's what they do with those days where you have Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks prep races. So I'm thinking the final 5 races of the card right now, but things can change between now and then. So keep an eye out wherever you follow me, whether it's here on Twitch, on my X, those that have exclusive rights to my Facebook, all that stuff. So that is going to be it for tonight's show. Do appreciate everybody who tuned in. Mike helping me with even when I have my mic up like this. But and sometimes you just don't realize it until like you're 3 minutes into a dissertation of some sort. But I do appreciate everybody that's watching. I did see that there were a couple of people watching on the Bleacher Brothers YouTube, on my YouTube, and also those watching on X tonight. And you can join me every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Wednesdays we start at 10, and we'll do it live in about 23 hours. So do appreciate everybody for joining me tonight, and we'll do it live again tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Probably about a 60 to 90-minute show. So, but I do appreciate everybody, and I'll see you in the winner's circle, and have a great night, everybody.